Steel, aluminum, nickel-plated, or just plain brass cases or hulls provide a container for a Boxer or Berdan primer at the base, fast handgun or shotgun, or slower burning rifle or smokeless powder, type smokeless powder inside of this container, and a bullet or pellets in the mouth of the cartridge, sealing it usually, but not always. And this is all fitted into a matching chamber, form-fitted, usually made from the barrel or part of it to the front of this cartridge, and a breech to its rear, where it may or may not fully enclose or support it throughout its life. Because reality. Now, this is as opposed to making a big cartridge out of the barrel and a permanently sealed back with a single hole in it or a breech plug or something like that, where a primer is stuck in the back, you throw the propellant into the cartridge, aka the barrel of a muzzle loader, and then pound, rock snails or a slug or some random bits of, grape shot into it, and basically it's a cannon. A rifle, pistol, shotgun, or any other type of cartridge is a minimalistic, least amount of material needed, maybe made entirely out of paper, muzzle loader, prepackaged. That's cartridged or cased ammunition. It's called ammunition or ammo. It is called a cartridge when all of these pieces are put together normally. These words get muffed about, so if anybody complains about what you say when you mean, just say, look, I'm going to give you the definition of what I'm talking about, and then you can tell me what you call it, but it doesn't really matter. A rose by any other name still goes boom. So, when you look at a flare gun cartridge and see that it has a primer at the base, propellant in the middle, a projectile, which in this case is an incendiary, which is extremely dangerous, and the rest of it is literally a barrel, a 16 gauge muzzleloader barrel, in line with a shotgun primer at one end, and you're putting it inside of a 12 gauge shotgun pistol that's made out of plastic. That is a 12 gauge pistol. That's street legal because you can't really chamber a real shotgun round in it. You better not try. Oh God, don't do that. You're looking at a cartridge. Now the cartridge, again, is to take the place of virtually all of the procedures and most of the parts of loading a muzzleloader. In the old days, the muzzleloader, well, very recently before cartridge ammunition, that primer in the back end was actually put on the top edge at a 45-degree angle to be hit by a hammer. That was preceded by it being a cap over a nozzle, looking like a pinfire. Look up what a pinfire round looks like, with a primer cap over it, aka a Boxer or Berdan primer. One of those is actually just that kind of cap, as in a cap gun. And before that, this pop-up thing called a nipple that would have the cap put over it was preceded by a flash pan and a striker for flintlock, and or a matchlock, which is literally a burning piece of rope or fuse that would press into a pan and light gunpowder on fire, like old pictures of people using flash powder by bringing a match or burning ember or stick next to a pan to create a bright flash to take a photo. Is that enough data and history? So we progressed from basically using a cannon to moving the nozzle from its very convenient location to the back with a primer stuck in it, and literally took our cannon and shrunk it down to that 22 caliber pistol you have, that little cartridge. That's the whole thing. It's just missing the barrel. It's just the minimum amount. And right before those were created, paper cartridges were dropped ass end first into the barrel, and the bottom of it was ripped, and that powder leaking out was used as a flash for lighting it. Okay? I hope I didn't waste your time, but we have to review these things. So, throughout its lifetime, this breech loading rather than muzzle loading, a breech is down here, a muzzle's up here, why, breaking it open or sliding the barrel out or slam firing it if you're making one of these pipe shotguns, this area down here became a point where everything is going on at once. Suddenly the muzzle wasn't so important. Suddenly you didn't need to have a certain variety of it, you could shrink it down at that end. You could use it to squeeze things down, making squeeze bores or even bottlenecked cartridges possible. Or getting rid of the big funnel on the blunderbuss, which was used so you could just pour in gunpowder, pack, pour in rocks, pack, fire. That's what a blunderbuss is shaped for. It's to make it easier to load. It's not to do anything else. But they do look kind of cool, and they're great for, cosplay. But throughout its life, this now very important junction, whether it breech loads by break action or breech loads by bolt action or slam fires, is now a point where things have to be taken care of. Before all of this, it's basically a straight piece of pipe you cram things into and fire. The back end just had to be over-designed to tolerate explosion. Now we have mechanical interlocks. These are sometimes called locking mechanisms or locks, even though that's another term entirely, but let's move on. Some or all of the dimensions involved in all of this, used to firmly hold the cartridge in place at the proper depth in the chamber to control the cartridge accuracy and safety, had to be designed and is referred to as the wording head space. Even though it's at the base of the cartridge, and headspace doesn't refer necessarily to the head or foot or base of the cartridge. Tube-fed revolver or break action guns, mostly using a straight-walled or shouldered rimmed cartridge for shotguns, rifles, handguns, pistols, etc. Now, why are we going there? You can also have a cartridge that isn't shaped with a straight wall. They can have a neck at the top of them. And that neck can be various shapes and sizes to reduce from a 30 caliber down to a 22, so you have a higher speed bullet, or make it to where when you jam it in, it jam fits, key wording, so it doesn't need anything at the base. Let's do the first thing though. Rimmed or shouldered, or straight-walled, shimmed, rimmed, or whatever. The headspace is on the external flange at the base. Head spacing only refers to that little rim. This is for shotgun shells, rimmed cartridges like 22 calibers, and many, many others, and usually doesn't exceed a certain diameter, because beyond a certain diameter, for the shell, not for the bullet coming out, they're totally different things, it will or will not work well to have that spacing. Which is better? Having your pipe go like that, or having it go like, I'm going to try to do it with my fingers, this, with a little extra space down here that's a thin wall for that rim, or have it smash into the rim of the cartridge and press it shut. Which one would work better or safer? You don't know, nor do I. So what people did, and engineers did, is they made every kind of format they could come up with to see which one blew up less often. Some of these got pretty crazy. Some of these had multiple layers of shell casing on the rims so that the bullet is between here and here, but the outside layers of the gun overlap like that to make it perfect sealed. And then they break because you can't close them, because every time you fire a bullet, it's pushing the pieces out and wearing and tearing on it. There is no perfect solution, so this is what they ended up making. This rim can be cast, molded, stamped, pressed, or glued, or clipped. Yes, they made clip-ons. Clip-on rims. Make your jokes. Put them down below. Around the bottom of the cartridge. But this had a couple of advantages. It allowed any length of the cartridge, and in some cases, any type of combination of cartridge and bullet length. You could have a really short cartridge firing a big long bullet, and vice versa. It just as long as it fit the shape of it. And in the case of shotguns and 22s and all sorts of guns that you can make that don't have any kind of change in diameter for the barrel, for the bore, or even for the end, you can make a bullet casing as long as you wanted to, which means you can make it any powder level and any level of intensity or weight for the projectile. You could mix and match them. They're more versatile. But All of that comes at a cost. Because of that rim and because of this non-standardization, you can't really make a magazine feed for it where they feed sideways. The rim may take up too much space and it may require the thing curved like a banana. You may see that. Or it may not even allow you to do that at all because there's so many dimension changes. How do you fix it? Well, maybe you make it to where they go end to end with each other. Tube feed, like a shotgun, but they're variable depths. So when they're fed in, you have to make sure that the opening they go in through can change dimensions. And remember, if you fire 22, after you fire it, it's shorter. If you fire a shotgun shell, the hole, the empty casing, gets longer because it's crimped in, it pops out. Now we have a bunch of engineering problems we didn't have before, when we just had a break open, put the bullet in, clamp it shut. Okay. Some or all of these dimensions have to be taken into account and what they're used for. This is the reason you have hundreds of variations of a 22, hundreds of variations of the casing being a 38, but it can hold all sorts of bullets, including ones that are 38 caliber here and 50 caliber here. Yes, somebody made one of those. Some of these kept working, some don't work anymore. So anyway, so tube feeding, revolver, break action, they work. Or not. We'll get to it. Next, you can have the cartridge shorter or longer. Bullet size shorter or longer, like I said. They are known for reliability in chambering, but had problems with box magazine feeding and other things. Also, because of the lack of standardization, cheap guns became more popular. Sometimes rim fire or straight-walled bullets became outlawed in areas because they could be used in improvised guns. People would take the bullet out, put it in, pack more powder in than you should, shove the ass end of the bullet in, clamp it shut, fire it, and hope it didn't blow up. It would blow up sometimes. Then there are semi-auto magazine-fed cartridges and various other variations that have no rim on them or less rim. The case is known for smooth magazine feed and has a rim of some sort of diameter, but it'll usually be the same diameter as the case, and it's only used for extracting the bullet afterwards because you have to have an extractor instead of just going and picking it out or having to kick it out somehow. Now, it necessitated the extractor groove recess formed as a fake rim or maybe partial rim. Higher precision requirements for chambering because it relies on something other than this little stopper at the bottom, but it allowed for you to make complete breech face to barrel contact, so you might be able to make a safer gun. Your mileage will vary. It must headspace on the case's length or shape or its bottlenecking or some other characteristic or a band put in just as a fake rim just to get the damn thing to reliably chamber. Because if they're completely straight, it could just fall out of the barrel. Relying on it being a specific set of dimensions is a bad idea because temperature changes, variation, or just plain old the barrel wearing out. It could be at the mouth, the rimless straight edge. The straight-walled case does all of these things as well, but this prevents incompatible loading so you can get exact measurements. You can make extremely precision guns, and all of it can be design spec'd, but it becomes critical. You may also fudge things too much and make it easier to blow up if somebody substitutes cordite for gunpowder, or other, including, you get the idea. You can have a ring-shaped crimped, pinched into many cartridge casings designed to lock into a bullet with a similar pattern to securely keep it in place until fired. But this may not be possible, in which head cases are only for the case mouth or other. It may alter it too much. Semi-rimmed cases have a slightly rimmed base for smoother magazine feed and better reliability. It's a compromise. Others have a belt above it. This is only done for shoulder designs to prevent over-insertion of the case for things that could go boom. Rebated rim cases are an oddball where you make a larger barrel fit into a smaller receiver and just use the smaller end of it, and more design issues, even rarer. Wikipedia needs a category for straight-walled cartridges for me to do any further on that. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Links below in the description.